So guys, Borderlands 4 just ended its mini state of play, so in today's video I'm just going to be summarizing all the new information that we got within it. So let's first go over the movement abilities that were shown, those being gliding, climbing, double jumping and sliding. But then I believe inside of other trailers we did also see a form of swimming as well, so a whole load of new movement options. Moving on to returning characters, in this we got announced that Zane, Moxie and Amara will all be returning, alongside Claptrap, and then Lilith was also brought up in the story, obviously because of the events that happened within Borderlands 3 that immediately tie into the story here in Borderlands 4. In terms of new characters, we had Rush and Echo 4 be revealed. Not much was said on Rush, but Echo 4 seems to be a little helper robot who will be guiding you through to the main objectives within the story to help you not get lost. And it's kind of just like there to be a ping system really. And then in terms of Vault Hunters, we'll get into those a little bit later, but we do see gameplay of Vex, the brand new Siren, and Rafa, who is a former TDR soldier with an exoskeleton to create weapons and stuff. But we'll get into them more later. Alongside this, we also have the brand new planet Kairos, which comes with 4 zones, but these zones have 0 loading times in between them, and also come with dynamic weather and events that are also present. Now, events to me sound like public events. If you've played Destiny 2, you might get an understanding of how that works, and dynamic weather, well, that's pretty self-explanatory. And also, inside of these zones, you'll find new activities like silos, which were explained in the gameplay. These are seemingly just mini events that allow you to unlock things within the world. For example, in the gameplay here, they unlock a terminal and are able to then gain access to a balloon, which they are then able to grapple to gain high ground and glide to their main objective. Alongside this, they also talk about vault key fragments, which seem to be collectibles that will allow you to enter a hidden vault to gain loot, referred to as a dungeon with challenging combat and serious loot. Also, vehicles return, but you can now spawn them in at any time. And another new thing that was mentioned is that you are now able to select your campaign difficulty separately from the rest of your party if you're playing with friends, and loot is instanced for each player, so no need to worry about loot stealing. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it was a setting that you could toggle on and off similarly to Borderlands 3. And also apparently you can TP to your friends if you get lost, which is also very, very nice. Now let's talk loot. It looks like by default you can equip up to 4 weapons and switch between them freely. In terms of manufacturers, you have your classics like Jacob, Maliwan, Vladov, TDR and Torg, but now this game's going to be adding 3 brand new ones in the form of Order, Rippers and Deadless. And also new with Borderlands 4 comes licensed parts, which means that one gun can come from multiple manufacturers. So you can find a gun with a Vladov magazine and a Maliwan barrel and other manufacturer parts to end up with a gun with multiple manufacturer benefits. And at higher rarities, the more parts a licensed gun can have. And that's not even including alt fire modes, underbarrels and elemental damage as well. So the loot seems to be even crazier than previous games. Now let's talk enhancements, which will be replacing the artifacts system in previous games and will be more focused around the different weapon manufacturers, allowing you to min-max your builds towards the manufacturers you prefer. Also, loot drop rates have been overhauled and legendaries are going to be more rare compared to in Borderlands 3. And then to end off weapons here, let's talk Ordnance, which is a brand new gear slot for heavy weapons like grenade and rocket launchers, and these ordnance won't take up a gun slot or ammo and will instead be on a cooldown timer, which is very cool. And also Borderlands 4 is adding the use of health kits, which I believe is the first healing item that you can use during combat in the series, which is a very nice addition. And then they also talk about that there is full mission and boss replay. Now to end off, let's go over some of the action skills that were previewed. We didn't get much on Rafa, who was able to use that exoskeleton to summon different weapons it seems, but we did mainly see here are the action skills and abilities of Vex, who is our brand new Siren for this game. Now her main action skills that we saw were Phase Familiar and Incarnate. Incarnate states that Vex creates a phase explosion dealing damage to nearby enemies and fully restoring her health. While active, Vex can use Eldritch Blast and gain increased movement speed. You press L1 to fire an Eldritch Blast from her offhand, dealing damage to nearby enemies on impact. Dealing gun damage reduces Eldritch Blast's cooldown. Then you can press and hold L1 to end Incarnate early, partially refunding the cooldown, which is very cool. Her next action skill though was Phase Familiar, where Vex is joined by her minion Trouble. When killed, Trouble will respawn after a cooldown. You can press L1 to teleport Trouble, dealing damage in an area. Trouble will transform into a badass, fully restoring health and gaining increased damage for a duration. Activating Phase Familiar will spawn Trouble if currently dead. And to go over some of her passives, you can get Vex deals increased action damage the higher her health, and then also Vex and her minions gain increased movement speed and damage reduction. Then they also go over some augments and capstones. So you get Blind Strike as an augment, where you get a command skill, press and hold L1 to command trouble to blink strike target enemies, dealing damage. Blink Strike always critically strikes enemies below 50% HP. Then you also have Violent Outburst, where you can command skill to press and hold L1 to command trouble to explode himself, dealing ordnance damage to nearby enemies and restoring health to Vex. While Phase Familiar is active, sacrifice 33% of his maximum health instead. Then you also get another capstone in the form of Trouble Bubble, where Trouble now gains an overshield whenever he deals damage. While Phase Familiar is active, Trouble gains an elemental aura, dealing ordnance damage over time to nearby enemies. And then also, one thing to note about Vault Hunters now in this game is that they all come with unique traits. So for example, Vex here gets the trait of Phase Covenant, where Vex is attuned to the elemental type of her current weapon, converting all action skills and melee damage into that type. Now this also works with your Phase Familiar, so you can change the type of damage that your little pet does, which is very, very cool. Now that's all the main skills that were previewed there for Vex, and we didn't get anything about Rafa in terms of his skills, or the other two Vault Hunters, which I believe are yet to be named at this point. And yeah, that's pretty much everything from this live stream. I'll have it linked in the description if you want to watch the whole thing for yourself. But that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, remember to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one.